The Zephyrian Council had constructed the infinite labyrinth as the ultimate test of worthiness. For 3,000 years, representatives from across the galaxy had entered its shifting walls, seeking to prove their species' right to join the Galactic Federation. None had succeeded. The labyrinth was a marvel of quantum engineering. Its walls phased through dimensions, its passages rewrote themselves every few minutes, and its very geometry defied the laws of physics that most civilizations understood. The Zephyrians, with their crystalline minds capable of processing 17 dimensions simultaneously, had designed it to be theoretically unsolvable. The maze adapts to the solver's methodology, explained High Curator Vexhai to the small gathering of observers in the monitoring chamber. It learns from each attempt, becoming more complex, more impossible with every failure. Through the viewing portal, they watched the latest challenger, a human named Dr. Sarah Chen, representing Earth's recently discovered civilization. She wore simple clothing and carried only a piece of charcoal, a primitive carbon stick that had made several council members scoff. "Another failure incoming," muttered Ambassador Trillin of the hegemony. His insectoid features twitched with barely concealed disdain. "Humans, single-dimension thinkers, they'll be eliminated in the first sector." The human had been walking, for 47 minutes methodically touching each wall she encountered. The labyrinth's adaptive algorithms were already at work, creating new passages that led nowhere, walls that existed in negative space, and corridors that folded back on themselves through non-Euclidean geometry. "Fascinating," whispered Dr. Cathara, the Altarian philosopher whose species had lasted 6 hours before succumbing to madness. "She's not trying to solve it." Indeed, Sarah Chen seemed remarkably unconcerned with finding the correct path. Instead, she was drawing. Every few meters, she would stop and sketch something on the walls with her primitive charcoal. Simple lines, basic shapes, occasionally what appeared to be crude representations of doors or windows. "What is that primate doing?" Vexhai's crystalline form chimed with confused harmonics. "Those markings serve no navigational purpose. The labyrinth will simply phase them away when the walls shift." But the walls weren't shifting. The observers watched in growing bewilderment as the sections where the human had drawn remained stable, while unmarked areas continued their chaotic dance through dimensions. Sarah paused at what appeared to be a dead end, a blank wall that pulsed with the labyrinth's reality-warping energy. She studied it for a moment, then began to draw. Her strokes were confident, deliberate. She sketched the outline of a door, complete with a handle and hinges. "Impossible," breathed Dr. Cathara. "The quantum matrices don't respond to—" The drawing shimmered. Where charcoal lines met wall, reality seemed to hiccup. The sketched door began to take on depth, substance, actuality. Sarah stepped back, admired her work for a moment, then reached for the drawn handle and turned it. The door opened. Beyond lay the labyrinth's heart, the chamber of completion that no being had ever reached. Sarah Chen walked through her improvised exit as casually as if she were entering her own home. The monitoring chamber erupted in chaos. Vexhai's crystalline structure rang like a broken bell. Ambassador Trillin's compound eyes dilated in shock. Emergency alerts cascaded across quantum displays as the labyrinth's impossibly complex systems registered an error they had no protocols to handle. "How?" Vexhai's voice cracked through several octaves. "The labyrinth is designed to be unsolvable. Its quantum architecture prevents—" "She didn't solve it," interrupted Dr. Cathara, her forearms gesturing frantically at the displays. "She ignored it entirely. Look at the energy readings. She's not interacting with the labyrinth systems at all." Sarah Chen now stood in the chamber of completion, sketching what appeared to be a comfortable chair on one wall. As they watched, the drawing materialized into reality, and she sat down, pulling out what looked like a sandwich from her pocket. "Impossible," Vexhai repeated, but the word had lost all meaning. Through the communication system, Sarah's voice carried into the monitoring chamber, calm and slightly amused. "You know, for beings advanced enough to build a maze that exists, In 17 dimensions, you sure missed something pretty basic. What? Vexhi's query resonated with desperate confusion. Sarah gestured at the walls around her, where her simple charcoal drawings had fundamentally altered reality. You built a labyrinth that responds to complex algorithms, quantum mechanics, dimensional mathematics, all the sophisticated stuff. But you forgot that reality itself is just really good at playing along with confident assertions. She stood up from her sketched chair and approached the main wall of the chamber. See, the thing about humans is that we've been drawing on cave walls for 50,000 years, telling reality what we want it to be. We drew hunting scenes to make the hunt successful. We drew maps to make the territory familiar. We drew gods to make the universe meaningful. As she spoke, Sarah began sketching again. This time, a door labeled exit in simple block letters. The labyrinth's designed to counter logical thinking, pattern recognition, even dimensional perception. But it never occurred to you to defend against someone who'd just draw a new door when the existing ones don't lead where they want to go. The exit door materialized completely, swinging open to reveal the corridor that led directly back to the starting chamber, a path that had definitely not existed moments before. Sarah pocketed her charcoal and started walking toward the impossible exit. Thanks for the test, she called back. Earth's application for Federation membership is in the mail. We'll be in touch about setting up trade routes. She paused at the threshold of her sketched door and looked directly into the monitoring chamber's viewing portal. Oh, and you might want to update your labyrinth's programming. A few dozen human kids with crayons could probably redecorate this whole place in an afternoon. The door closed behind her with a very ordinary, very final click. In the monitoring chamber, 17 different species sat in stunned silence trying to process what they had witnessed. The most sophisticated test ever devised had been overcome by a piece of charcoal and the simple, terrifying human conviction that reality was negotiable. High Curator Vexhi finally spoke, his voice carrying a new note of what might have been respect. I believe we need to reconsider our admission standards. Through the portal they could see the labyrinth beginning to change. Where Sarah had drawn, the walls remained stable, decorated with her simple sketches. And slowly, impossibly, more doors began appearing. Doors that had never been programmed, never been designed, but existed nonetheless because someone had believed strongly enough to draw them into being. The age of the infinite labyrinth was over. The age of humanity had begun.